Raiders exploring veteran quarterback market big news is coming out of the NFL world, and it involves the Las Vegas Raiders' search for a quarterback. With free agency just 3 days away, there's a real chance that some of the team's current free agents may not return. But the biggest headline? The Raiders are actively exploring veteran quarterback options through both free agency and potential trades. Respected NFL insider Diana Rossini has reported that the Raiders are seriously looking at experienced quarterbacks, which could even include trading for a current starter. This suggests that the team is considering moving forward with a new leader under center. Many fans have voiced their support for sticking with Aidan O'Connell, who has been working with Tom Brady and studying film to improve his game. There's no doubt he has potential, and some quarterbacks simply take more time to develop. However, the fact that this report is coming from Rossini, who is known for her credibility, indicates that the Raiders are keeping their options open. Several names have been floated as possibilities. Kirk Cousins has been mentioned, though he's coming off a serious injury. If he's fully recovered, he could be an interesting option. Then there's Sam Darnold, a player with untapped potential who could thrive in the right system. Other possibilities include Geno Smith, especially with the Seattle Seahawks making major roster changes, including the release of key defensive players and trade rumors surrounding star wide receiver DK Metcalf. With free agency about to begin, the next few days will be crucial in determining the Raiders' quarterback direction. Will they commit to O'Connell, or will they bring in a veteran to compete for the job? Stay tuned. Things are about to get interesting. Seahawks rebuilding? What that means for Geno Smith and the Raiders. It looks like the Seattle Seahawks might be gearing up for a rebuild based on the moves they've made in the past few days. If that's the case, there's a real chance that Geno Smith could be traded. While he's been a solid quarterback, he may not be the kind of player who can lead a team to a Super Bowl. That's exactly why it might not make sense for the Raiders to pursue him. Now, if the Raiders were to bring in Geno Smith, it wouldn't be the worst move, but his ceiling as a quarterback seems limited. That's where someone like Sam Darnold becomes an interesting option. At 27 years old, he still has room to grow and develop. While he's far from a guaranteed star, his potential makes him a more intriguing choice. The fact that NFL insider Diana Rossini has reported that the Raiders are actively exploring veteran quarterbacks says a lot about the team's mindset. It suggests they aren't entirely sold on moving forward with Aidan O'Connell or drafting a rookie quarterback. There's been speculation about the Raiders considering prospects like ShedeurSanders, JacksonDart, or even CamWard in the draft. However, with free agency just days away, it's becoming clear that the team is leaning toward a more experienced option. Of course, in the NFL, nothing is ever set in stone, especially during the offseason. Smokescreens and misinformation are common, but with free agency about to begin, we're getting closer to seeing the Raiders' true plans unfold. Raiders aggressive in pursuit of DK Metcalf? Another major development involves star wide receiver DK Metcalf. According to NFL Network insider Mike Garafolo, multiple teams have shown interest in acquiring him, and the Raiders are reportedly one of the most aggressive suitors. Garafolo mentioned that PeteCarroll, Seattle's longtime coach, has always been a strong supporter of Metcalf. But now, with a potential rebuild underway, there's growing speculation that the Seahawks could move on from their star receiver. 3 teams have been linked to Metcalf: the Raiders, the Panthers, due to their front office's history with him, and the Packers, who are also rumored to be interested. If the Raiders manage to land Metcalf, it would be a massive boost to their offense. Pairing him with Davante Adams could give them one of the most dangerous receiving duos in the league. However, it all comes down to whether Seattle is truly willing to part ways with their top receiver and if the Raiders are willing to pay the price. With free agency just around the corner, things are heating up fast. The next few days could bring some major shakeups for the Raiders, so stay tuned. Raiders among top contenders. For DK Metcalf trade, NFL insider Mike Garafolo has reported that the Las Vegas Raiders, Carolina Panthers, and Green Bay Packers could be among the top teams in the mix to trade for star wide receiver DK Metcalf. However, the most interesting part of his report was that Seahawks coach PeteCarroll has made it clear that he is fully invested in keeping Metcalf. While Garafolo connected the Panthers and Packers to the situation, he didn't confirm that either team has shown real interest. The Raiders, on the other hand, seem to be seriously considering making a move. If the Raiders manage to land Metcalf, it would be a huge addition to their offense. While they have solid receivers in Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker, they're still missing a true number one. One threat. Metcalf has the size, speed, and explosiveness to fill that role perfectly. His ability to play outside and even move into the slot in certain formations would add another dimension to the offense. Imagine a scenario where the Raiders line up in a trips formation, with rookie tight end Brock Bowers out wide and Metcalf shifting in motion. This kind of versatility could create serious mismatches for defenses. However, acquiring Metcalf won't come cheap. He has just 1 year left on his current contract and is expected to demand a massive extension, likely in the $25 to $35 million per year range. The good news? The trade itself might not cost too much in terms of draft capital. A third or fourth round pick could be enough to get a deal done, given that Seattle would be looking to move his contract rather than maximize trade value. The Raiders have already made some financial moves that could make room for a big signing. They recently adjusted Max Crosby's contract, potentially freeing up short-term cap space, which could help absorb Metcalf's salary. If they structure the deal correctly, they could sign Metcalf to an extension while keeping his initial cap hit manageable. Raiders free agency decisions looming. While the focus has been on potential trades, the Raiders also have several key free agency decisions to make. They currently have 27 pending free agents, and while they've already re-signed 7 of their own players, they also made a notable addition by signing offensive lineman Alex Kappa, who was recently released by the Cincinnati Bengals. These early signings show that the Raiders are being proactive, but there are still a lot of decisions left to be made. Will they prioritize bringing back some of their own free agents, or will they continue looking at outside options to strengthen the roster? With free agency right around the corner, the answers will come soon. One thing is clear. The Raiders are making moves, and whether it's through trades or free agency, they are working to build a competitive team for the upcoming season. Raiders face key free agency decisions as market opens. With just 3 days left until the legal tampering period begins, the NFL free agency frenzy is about to take off. Starting March 10th, teams can begin negotiating deals with free agents, although contracts won't be finalized until March 12th. Historically, the first few hours of this period see a wave of signings, with several players reaching agreements almost immediately. For the Raiders, it's interesting to see that they haven't made a strong push to re-sign some of their key free agents yet. This could suggest they're willing to let players like Malcolm Kuntze and Trayvon Moehrig test the market rather than locking them in early. The message seems to be, go see what you're worth. If another team offers you $18 to $20 million, take it. While this strategy might be financially smart, it also carries risks. If a player like Moehrig, who was drafted and developed by the Raiders, gets a strong offer elsewhere, he may not return. Moehrig is unlikely to command top-tier safety money, but he could land a deal in the $15 million range. The Raiders might be betting that they can replace him through the draft or free agency, but letting go of homegrown talent isn't always the best move. The same goes for Kuntze. Pass rushers are highly valued, and another team could easily outbid the Raiders for his services. If that happens, it would be a significant loss for the defense. While it's possible that the Raiders circle back in a few weeks and re-sign these players after they've explored their options, the longer they remain unsigned, the more likely it is that they'll end up elsewhere. Raiders receive massive trade offer for Max Crosby. Another major storyline emerging is the potential trade interest in star edge rusher Max Crosby. According to a report from Hondo Carpenter's podcast, one team was willing to offer 3 first-round picks for Crosby. While it's unclear if this report is 100% accurate, it raises an interesting question. Would the Raiders ever consider trading their defensive cornerstone? Crosby is the heart and soul of the Raiders' defense, and moving him would be a franchise-altering decision. While 3 first-round picks might seem like a tempting offer, replacing his level of production and leadership would be nearly impossible. The Raiders have made it clear that they want to build around Crosby, and unless they're in full rebuild mode, it's hard to see them letting him go. As free agency kicks off, the Raiders have several big decisions to make. Will they bring back key free agents? Will they make a splashy move in the veteran quarterback market? And will they continue to build around Crosby? Or could they entertain a blockbuster trade? The answers will start coming in just a few days. Would the Raiders regret not trading Max Crosby? A recent report suggests that the Las Vegas Raiders turned down an offer of 3 first-round picks for star pass rusher Max Crosby. If true, this raises a major debate. Did the Raiders make a mistake by not taking the deal? The argument for making the trade is simple. 3 first-round picks could provide the Raiders with the assets to rebuild their roster. The team could use those picks to draft top-tier talent, sign a veteran pass rusher like Trey Hendrickson, and potentially come out stronger overall. However, trading Crosby isn't just about his on-field performance. It's about what he means to the franchise. Crosby is more than just a dominant edge rusher. He's a leader, a warrior, a culture setter, and a player who embodies the Raiders' identity. His presence in the locker room, his relentless work ethic, and his influence on younger players make him invaluable beyond just sacks and pressures. When discussing whether this trade offer was realistic, there are some doubts. It's rare for a 29-year-old player, regardless of talent, to command 3 first-round picks in a trade. Typically, teams are willing to give up that kind of draft capital for younger stars coming off rookie contracts, not for veterans who are already well paid. While it's an interesting debate, the Raiders' decision to keep Crosby shows that they view him as a foundational piece rather than just an asset to trade. And unless they're in full rebuild mode, it's hard to see them parting ways with their defensive leader anytime soon. Would you have made the trade, or do you think keeping Crosby was the right move? It sounds like the discussion around Max Crosby's trade value is heating up, but there are a lot of factors to consider. While 3 first-round picks sounds like an incredible offer, the reality is that Crosby's contract is structured in a way that gives him an out in a couple of years, making him a valuable asset if he ever does request a trade. The argument against trading him now is that the Raiders need to win now, not rebuild. If they were in full rebuild mode, maybe moving Crosby for draft picks would make sense. But with how the